Welcome, everyone. We're back. Another GG Millions. It is season 2023, episode 25. Jeff Gross, joined by Kane Callis in the building. Kane, how are you?
Doing great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm well, man. It's in Japan. I got a little smarter. I took a rest. I slept for about 5-6 hours, so I'm feeling good, feeling fresh. Had a coffee. You're in, I believe, what? You're in the East Coast, right? You're over in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, I appreciate taking the time today. If you guys want to follow along with Kane, you can follow him on what? Twitter, Instagram. Where are you most active, Kane?
Everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, and it's at Kane Callis.
Beautiful. Well, we cleared that up, and we got big show today. Of course, 10K buy-in Sunday. Play to the final table. Today, we arrive at that final table. We will have a winner. There's a look at the GG Million ranking for the season. Leon Sturm, who has been taking the poker world by literal storm. I mean, he won the 50K in Vegas for a bracelet. He's already, I think, got first and a second here, or first in a couple final tables in the last few weeks, and he is in the lead right now. And of course, today, prize pool is big, 1.67 million, and the payouts are healthy. 339 up top, everyone guaranteed almost 50,000 there. It's almost 5 buy-ins. 9 out of 167 remain, and it is a stacked final table. Kane, anyone here you recognize? Have you played with?
Well, yeah, obviously Yuri, is just a crusher. He plays not just no limit hold'em, but all forms of poker very, very well. And I'm sure you have experience with a lot of the other guys at this final table.
Yeah, some familiar faces. Mr. Doberman, been there many times. Samuel Wuston, one of the best in online poker, as well as Nicholas Ostad. I'd say those are like the two pillars of online poker for decades of just consistency and absolute, call it what you will. They're crushers. They are very strong players. And Yuri, with 99 big blinds, has been as dominant as anybody over the last couple of years in poker. Brazilian, and again, as true on the GG Millions, almost without fail, there's an Austria representation and a Brazilian representation. It's literally like 98% of the time. We see that again today. And I mean, it's a big final table. We haven't even mentioned Victor Malinowski, who's a household favorite, a name that is just so talented, so tough, plays nosebleed cash, and he is also in the mix, as well as, I know I'm forgetting someone else, Space 411, very talented, very strong pedigree here on the GG Mills. And then Chris Rudolph, one of the best in the game, sitting short, but also someone to not be overlooked. And if he can double up or get back in the game, he will be a problem for the field. So this is definitely a very special lineup. And Pavel, he's winning everything too. I mean, I don't even know how many millions he's won live. And this is, I'd say, pound for pound, one of the most stacked final tables that we've had here at the GG Millions.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've definitely seen some great work out of Pavel. I think he's a very strong player as well.
Yeah, this will be fun to watch. And how about, let's do a red or black? You're in for a dinner wager. We'll do a little draft. You up for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, you can choose red or black.
Okay, I'm gonna choose black.
Okay, fair enough. Looks like an even mix here of cards left, of red and black out, and we see Queen Jack suited. Nicholas gonna open, and very interesting that these are to me some of the tougher spots, right? The big blind play, when you have you kind of know it's like a strong enough hand, it's a late position raise, but these hands are tricky to play. What do you like here, Kane, with the weak ace unsuited?
Yeah, we do see a 3-bet. I would like to see. I probably would have defended here with the ace deuce. You're going to be able to play more aggressively post flop than your opponent. Or I'm sorry, I missed that. I thought Yuri was in the big blind. So yeah, we got the 3-bet and then the 4-bet all in and a fold. So with a shorter stack, ace deuce, it's a close spot. I actually may have considered. I probably would have peeled, seen a flop, but I actually don't mind any of the 3 options there.
Yeah, it does seem very close. And I guess player dependent, what positions opening, and Nicholas and Samuel have so much history, but you did see the 3-bet right, and actually a 4-bet. Queen Jack suited takes the aggressive option there, doesn't just flat. And very interesting. Again, I think that's a good illustration of a situation where there really are multiple choice options. So we saw some high level stuff, and we end up seeing a 3-bet, 4-bet jam take it down. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. The problem with calling there out of the big blind with ace deuce is that your opponent's just going to be able to play much more aggressively than you, with the ICM implications, with him having such a large chip stack advantage over you. And look at this, Jeff. I think we got a black flop here. Looks black to me.
It is clean. It's true. It is true. And you're going to get the first pick.
So I get choice for first pick or next two, right?
It's interesting. We've always done first pick, but I guess in theory that would make sense. Yeah, why not? You could. I guess I've never done that, but I'm okay with that. I think that's a good way to do it.
All right. And it's winner only, right?
Yeah, but we'll have everybody, right? We'll do a draft, so someone's going to win. But yes, you got to win.
Right. If you pick the winner, then you win. Okay, you know what? I'll go ahead with Yuri right now since he has a straight.
That's a good pick. Good player. And this is pretty interesting with nines. Pavel, who knows the player is capable, but at the same token, man, it's such a big ask, right? He does find the fold. There's still hands that beat him. Both flush draws. I mean, Yuri doesn't have a spade or a club, so he does go big. I like the sizing there. He kind of unblocks some of the bluffs, and yeah, that was interesting, but good fold from Pavel. Definitely could have thought about it a little longer, so made a good decision. All right, so you got Yuri, who does have the commanding lead, and so I get second, third, right? So I'll take Nicholas, very healthy, very strong, and man, I mean, Doberman's got a huge stack and so much experience too. Very tough player. I'll go with the chips. I'm a sucker for chips. I'll take the.
You're going to take Doberman, even though he has a worse position.
Yes.
At the table, right, being to the right of the chip leader. All right, I'm going to go with Pavel.
Okay, I will.
And
it goes 1-2 and then 1-1-1 all the way through.
Oh, and then it goes 1-1. Okay.
Hold on, real quick here. We got an all-in. Ace-8, Queen-9. Pavel is in the lead. If he can hold up here on the river, he will get a knockout. We'll be down to 8, and it is a 3 across 10. That will be good game to Chris Rudolph. Very, very experienced player. Don't worry, there's another Austrian flag in case you were wondering. They're there. They're always present. There's now 8, so we'll each have 4 players. And I believe you just took. So hold on, we did 1, 2. You took Pavel, and then I'll take Victor.
You're gonna take Victor.
Malinowski.
All right. In that case, I'm gonna go with the big blind here with space 411.
Okay, fair enough. I will go with Samuel. I'm happy to get him. I think he's maybe the best online poker player in the world, tied with Nicholas. I just feel like historically, so I'm happy to have him. I'll take that.
Cool.
He's also got a nice spot right there.
Then for my last player, I get Sting with over 1 million chips.
Yep, that is
not to be confused with Brian Hastings.
Yes, I think that is a good call. Old school username there, very similar. And there is your 4 and 4 in the audience. If one of my 4 win, you get $100 in GG tournament dollars. If one of Kane players win, you will get $50 a cash GG ticket. So that's what you guys are sweating, the 4 and 4. We're going to have some mystery hands today, which will be fun. And then we'll also have the hands up where you can guess the winning hand for the day. And Kane, you can enter that if you'd like to. It's pinned on the YouTube chat, and you can guess which the actual specific suit is. It's a progressive jackpot every week. So you need to guess the specific hand with the suits on what hand wins today. Give me your guess.
Specific hands with the suits of what hand will win
the winning
today.
Hand.
The winning hand at the end of the tournament. I'm going to say the ace of clubs, 6 of diamonds.
Ace of clubs, 6 of diamonds. I'm going to go 9, 10 of spades. And that is not eligible unless you got to actually click the link in the YouTube chat, put it in if you want to be actually eligible for the jackpot. You could win though, Kane. You're allowed. So if you actually see that in the YouTube channel, you can submit that, but verbally is not going to be enough. Same with the audience. Got to click the link and go in there. And good luck to everyone on the giveaways. I will have a tweet, I believe, that is out as well. That is a $50 cash giveaway. So we got multiple giveaways. We got action, but let's dive now into what's happening here. We saw Yuri open Jack 6 suited. He's got a huge stack, expecting him to go a little bit wild, but again, no slouches here, Kane. Not able to just kind of get away with a lot. People are playing ranges. They're playing tough, and curious how he's going to adjust to aggressiveness versus being held in check a little bit. So we'll
Absolutely.
look at that. All right, we see a raising all in with tens. Take it down. Tell me about how you approach ICM at final tables, and is that something you're really aware of? Does it depend? Some days if you feel like the table's tougher than others, what are some of your main considerations when you make a final table for ICM?
So one of the first things you want to look at, Jeff, is the payout structure, and whether it's kind of a linear payout structure or more of a tiered payout structure. Generally speaking, online payout structures tend to be more linear than live tournaments, and you can see that with this online tournament as well, where each pay jump really does matter quite a bit. It's not extremely top heavy like a lot of live tournaments would be, so that makes me even more ICM conscious. So at a final table like this, one of the things that you'd see me do in this type of situation is, if I'm a shorter stack, you don't really want to be taking a lot of flops. You're going to choose to be more aggressive pre-flop with some of your hands. Try to take it down right there. So for example, with that tens, I mean, that was a shove anyway with, I believe he had 22, 21 and a half big blinds to start the hand. But I want to shove even more with a hand like that rather than flatting pre-flop, because there's a premium on me just winning the pot without even seeing a flop. The problem with seeing a flop when you're shorter stacked in an ICM situation is your opponents with larger stacks are just going to be able to put so much pressure on you post-flop. Look at this little check raise here with the couple of back doors, the jack 8, jack of clubs, 8 of spades here.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And this is a hand example of a space. He does have the backdoor diamonds, and he just decides to not even mess around. You would generally maybe see a flat there and then decide. But what do you think about space just shoving there versus calling?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of what we were just talking about with the ICM, right? So when his opponent does have, let's say, a gut shot in that type of situation, under a normal circumstance, you might want to just flat there, reel your opponent in, allow him to continue bluffing. But in an ICM type situation, you actually want to deny him that equity of hitting that gut shot, going to the turn or river. Ooh, and space just really running it up here.
Yeah, that is quite the flop. I mean, the absolute dream. You flop top set versus the overpair. And if you are Pavel, this is definitely what looks like a fairly innocuous flop. Doesn't look too concerning. Would you think space flats kings or aces? And, then these type of things, like there's also, he's not going to flat threes here. Sevens, I'm not sure. It is a pretty good situation, it appears, although it's about worst case. And we do just see the call, and now Pavel has a decision here, 430 in the middle, if he wants to slow down, or don't really see much reason to, but he does slow down. And space now, what do you like for sizing here?
I'd probably go half pot or so in this situation, maybe a little bit more than half pot. Be interesting to see how Pavel navigates this, taking the check line on the turn. I mean, he's such a strong player.
Yeah, I mean, working against Pavel as well as he has no club, right? This is also just like the more kind of likely your opponent definitely could have some queen king suited or these type of hands. He does slow it down. I mean, he just calls, and the problem here is the SPR stack to pot ratio getting close to 1, right? So space has 1 million, and there's 863 in the middle, and really it's now 4-liner. There's possibility for like 8s in there, I guess. I don't know. I just don't know. It's a kind of tough ass to fold here for Pavel, but let's see what he does size-wise. In a check, okay, interesting.
Yeah, and that's I think another ICM consideration there, checking that river, right? Whereas for chips, we would want a value bet in that type of situation. But, considering that when you do bet and get shoved on, or if you shove all in for value there, because I believe it was 1.2 pot bets shove on the river, and your opponent happens to have the 8, it's just such a disaster, right? Because right now your tournament is just worth so much with you having 1.8 million in chips and your ability to ladder. Lots of sets here today, Jeff. Lots of top sets specifically.
Yeah, kind of abnormal. I mean, obviously the odds 8.5 to 1 to flop a set, something in that neighborhood, and it is. We've seen a few back to back, and as you mentioned, not just any set, top set, as Yuri does flop a beautiful hand, but Nicholas gets away. Wasn't really interested with the ace-9 off there to get creative. So that was the end of that, as we are seeing, again, no real short stacks at the moment. We lost Chris Rudolph in 9th place, so we are down to 8, and everyone has some playability right now. So we're not going to see a lot of just rips on opens. We a little deeper, and should be a fun final table. A lot of play available, as we do see Yuri open ace-4 off, and I'll just get out of the way. I think, what did he fold there? He was suited. Was it suited low cards? I didn't see. I forgot.
So what was interesting to me is a small blind just folded the ace-4 suited or ace-3 suited that last hand. So that's definitely something notable, and that's interesting. And that's really a function of the fact that he's in this position where there are a couple stacks that are shorter than him, right? And he's trying to ladder up above those stacks. Sting specifically has a million in chips. And also this player here at the bottom of the screen has 900,000 in chips. So it really put him in a spot where, with that ace-3, ace-4 suited, I forget which one it was, but they play about similarly, where he didn't really want to be attacking the chip leader in that situation. And here, let's see what he does against a short stack now with ace-jack offsuit.
Yeah, pretty close, right? There's definitely multiple options here as well, and he is going to rebet, check the temperature of Samuel, and this is yeah, very interesting. I think makes the most sense to me to 3-bet this exact holding, ace-jack offsuit, and Samuel, though, someone that's willing to make plays, not super afraid of ICM, but again, ace-9 off doesn't feel like the time to just go ahead and rip it in there against your opponent, who shows some aggression. Nice pickup for Victor. Very impressive resume on GGMillion. So many final tables, so many cashes. I haven't seen him for a little while. I'm not sure if he's been playing in the last stretch, but back here at another final table. A lot of fans' favorite, right? He plays high stakes cash and fun player, very creative, very tough to play with. Have you played cash with him ever? Have you battled?
I actually haven't, no.
Yeah, definitely more, I think, unlike a lot of these guys that are more tournament background, he does play a lot of cash. So how do you feel cash players are doing tournaments? And you just had your World Series of Poker wager sort of with the main event, for example. How do you think the cash players fare in some of these? You saw Greg Merson back in the day had like a breakout success. Known as a cash player, won the 10K 6 max, won the main event. Do you feel that is a big? Do cash game players play very well in some of those main event deep stack tournaments?
They definitely play better in the deeper stack tournaments, where you'll see that the cash players tend to make some mistakes is on shorter stacks and also in ICM type of situations, both approaching the money bubble and after the money bubble and going into the final table. They just don't have as much experience, understanding how to leverage a large stack to their advantage largely. But then also when they're in this middle short stack type range, sometimes I'll see cash game players do some loose things that just aren't ICM appropriate. So it really does depend on the structure of the tournaments. Cash game players also tend to be better shorter handed, I've found, because they have more experience playing shorter handed tables. A lot of cash game players have some heads up experience from playing heads up, where players who play primarily tournaments just have hardly played any heads up, right? Only if you've ever been heads up to win a tournament. So cash game players definitely have a unique edge when it comes to multi-street hand reading. But in just some of the mathematics of ICM, laddering, short stack play, they're generally not as equipped as tournament players or even sit and go players.
It makes good sense there, as we do see space open 4s, which I think we'd see a lot of players fold this type of hand, maybe on the earlier middle position. What are your thoughts on opening 4s here versus just letting it go? A lot of players behind, tough players in this dynamic.
Yeah, you got 3 players behind you who have more chips than you. But 2 short stacks, including the big blind, who's a short stack who's not going to be able to defend super wide. So I like the open. I don't mind the open there with 4s.
Yeah, and we saw the hand before Yuri capitalized. Pavel checked back King Jack on the Queen 9 X flop, did check back a gut shot, and Yuri flopped open ended with 7-8. 10 would have made nut straight for Pavel and would have made Yuri a straight. But as it turned out, when check, and then Yuri went for an over bet on the turn when it was check, and took it down. So nice hand there again. Yuri getting to sort of use his chip stack and power through on spots as he gets a favorable situation again on Nicholas opening 6-7 suited and Yuri with the queens. Just call. Okay. This is, we see Pavel fold 8-6 off there. What would be the bottom hand you'd like to see him flat with in the big blind there? Because it is kind of hard to play multi-way out of position with those type of hands. I mean, would it 8-6 suited? You call pretty much all suited hands?
Yeah, and in general, when you're going three ways, there's a premium on your hand being suited. You're just not going to be able to make it to showdown, to navigate your way to showdown with weaker pair type hands. However, you are going to be able to realize your equity when you do flop a flush draw or turn a flush draw much easier. So in general, when you're going multi-way in Nolam and Hold'em, you're in the big blinds. You want to fold pretty tight with offsuit hands, but you want to peel relatively loose with suited holdings.
And what a big flop here. Pair and flush draw versus over pair as Yuri just flatted pre-flop. So his hand is disguised. And now Nicholas just started with a check call on the flop. You know, number 1 and 2 stack, right? Doesn't want to get necessarily an all-in situation. We might have seen some more aggressive play in different scenarios, but as it turns out, the ace comes, slows things down, check, but another one for Yuri, who is over 5 million now. And pretty crazy. He has got essentially second double second place almost, right? Mr. Doberman 2.8, he's at 5.1, Nicholas 2.6. So very healthy stack from Yuri, just kind of going to work here, and it's had a pretty smooth final table thus far.
Yeah, so here's Pavel with what appears to be 36.5 big blinds. In the small blind, 3-betting ace-jack suited. And Yuri really does have a great hand to rip here. Ace-4 suited. Like we were talking about before, Pavel's not going to want to be taking a lot of flops out of the small blind, so he's basically going to be playing 3-better fold with ICM. And when that's the case, you really got to be aggressive with these ace-wheel suiteds here. And look at that. The worst ace gets it through, and that's exactly why you want to be aggressive in that type of situation. Instead of taking a flop, for example, with ace-4 suited there, where you have a dominated hand, you're instead shoving, forcing Pavel to fold as strong as ace-jack suited in that situation.
Pretty crazy hand. I mean, I don't know if he would fold ace-queen suited if he 3-bet that. It just seems like a close one and a unfortunate timing from there that he had such a good dominating spot. He 3-bet and then had to fold, but yeah, can't imagine really calling off there, right, with that hand either. So it's tough. Maybe just a call pre-flop would have been the only other way to go about it, but as you said, not what you want to be doing in that spot for the most part anyway. So you can't blame either player, and Yuri just seems to have the anecdote. He's got the medicine for whatever situation's in, and he is up to 5.5, a true double second, just about there now. And he is got a license to raise. Queen 9 off. We saw him open Jack 6 suited earlier, and just seems like one of those things. Everything kind of falling in place, right? The hands, he's opening his trash and not really getting any resistance. He's putting in 4-bets, he's flatting with queens, getting good runouts, just everything sort of working for him at the moment.
So here's a hand that in the big blind for chips would just be a very easy defend. However, with ICM, I could really see it going either way with the Jack 9 offsuit. Really depends on how aggressive you think your opponent is going to be post-flop, and also how weak you think Yuri is opening pre-flop. If you think he's opening 50% of hands here, 45% of hands, and of course we're going to defend the Jack 9 offsuit. But if we think he's not really getting too far out of line as the big stack, then we could actually let that Jack 9 go in the big blind.
Yeah, and we have seen Yuri open super wide, and Nicholas does defend. He's got a fair amount of big blinds there, almost 50 bigs. Does peel and doesn't doesn't connect on the flop. Just check fold. As we see queens again. Pavel having a little bit of a tough time. Had a healthy stack. He's made a couple opens. He's got played back at. He 3-bet, got 4-bet. So he is down to 1.3 million and one of the shorter stacks at the moment. Samuel, you're shortest with 680K, but still enough to play. Can still even raise fold. And want to welcome everyone at home. Let us know where you're watching from. Again, Kane in Puerto Rico. I am in Tokyo, Japan. It is 4 in the morning here, but I took a sleep today. I feel much better. The last 2 shows I've been in Asia, and I tried to power through and kind of backfired. So I'm feeling fresh. It'd be nice. Get a good early start to the day today after the show. And yeah, we'll play to a winner today, of course. And we got some giveaways pending as we are in a 8-handed remaining at the moment, and Kane and I have a wager ourselves. So you guys are invested in that, whether it's his players or mine that win $50 or $100 ticket. Just remind you on who those are in a second, but we are seeing here Yuri with a open-ended, but drawing to a low end here, just debating he wants to be. He's interested. Or no, I'm sorry, he has an 8-5. I'm sorry, he has an 8. So he is dominated in this sense, in this exact situation. Is that a 6 or an 8? It's an 8. Yeah, I'm sorry, 8-5. He does call, and Doberman has got a winner if he can get to showdown. Wow. Look at this bet.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, got the winner, and you might be thinking, why is he doing? I guess he's bluffing here, and he's trying to get a 10 to fold.
I think it's a value bet. Small blind versus big blind. He's just hoping his opponent has some sort of combo draw, like an 8-9 or a 7-9 type hand that he's going to look him up with. It's definitely out of the box here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes, I guess, yeah, if you were to have to put it in, it's more of a, you're right, maybe like it was top pair on the flop. We got to remember that. There is spades miss, hearts miss. He has a heart. He's
yeah, no way Yuri's folding a queen here, right? And he's not folding a 10. So I do think it's a function of both those flush draws missing. Just very ambitious for that size, especially.
Oh, look at this mystery hand. We got one, and who doesn't love jacks? This is a great one. Pavel, who's had a tough stint here at this final table thus far, very talented player. Kane, talk me through it. Open jacks, your line, min raise, all good so far?
All good so far.
Let's see who is going to be participating in it as Yuri with a very, very strong 5.4 million. Samuel's short. Let's see if Yuri... Man, he doesn't seem like he wants to fold a hand today. I'm bank, chess clock, call. Okay. Samuel in the big blind gets out of the way. King 9-6, 2 clubs. Talk me through it, Kane.
All right, so we're talking about with ICM not wanting to take too many flops at final tables, but that only applies when you're the shorter stack. When you're the bigger stack, like Yuri is here, you actually get an advantage by going post flop because you're able to put pressure on your opponents. So here's a spot, for example, where if Yuri chose to check raise, he'd be putting a lot of pressure on his opponent here with pocket jacks. Nonetheless, we do see Pavel make the continuation bet. He raised from earlier position, and Yuri defended the small blind, so his range is just going to be a lot stronger, especially on this king high board. And then he checks back the turn on an 8 to pot control.
Yeah, so I mean, Yuri's hand looks sort of like king queen suited, king jack suited, which he blocks king jack.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Yuri on queen 10 of hearts.
Queen 10 of hearts. Okay. Yeah, that feels like one of the bluffs. King queen would be one of the value hands. So it's it does feel kind of right in there. And I don't think he's going to bet like 10s or play it this way, or 7s wouldn't play this. So yeah, I kind of think you're right. I think it's like queen 10 or king queen.
Ooh. Pocket 10s. Oh my goodness. Pavel. How many times is Pavel going to fold the better hand to Yuri at this final table? I mean, we just saw him 3-bet and fold the ace-jack suited. Now, that was a situation where Yuri was shoving on a bluff, with a worse ace, right? But in this hand, we just saw Yuri value bet a weaker hand and got Pavel to fold.
Very interesting hand. The tens, very interesting. I mean, yeah, he's value betting. That is with the check back on that line and that spot.
I mean, I'm surprised by that fold. Are you?
A little bit. I am. I think if you're going to check back turn and that's the run out, I think you probably need to be sticking on for a call a lot of the time there. But I mean, hey, look, like I said, man, this is what's fun because these are generally the best in the world, and today in particular, I would say the lineup is so tough. So some of these guys know each other so well too, right? So there's dynamics, there's a lot of deep understanding of each other's games, and yeah, Yuri definitely seems to have the best of everyone at the moment here. And this is quite a flop. We got double gutted flush draw versus top here, and this could definitely play for stacks here.
It's gonna be fireworks, yeah.
What a flop. 4-6 suited. I mean, that is one of the cooler flops. You'll see the double gut, sneaky. The 3 is 3, the 7, the diamond. 4-6 could be good. And he doesn't know it. I mean, he does just rip it. And yeah, I mean, Yuri, snap call. Here we go. Cards on their backs. 2.39 in the middle. A lot of turn dead outs for Pavel, but misses. Now he's a 2-1 dog. Needs help. Needs blue. 7-3. 6 is not enough. And Yuri is trying to get everyone to their dinner reservations today and their plans, because this is a absolute runaway train at the moment. He has got I mean, and look at this. He's about to potentially play for a lot more chips right into it. Jacks to ace king. Mr. Doberman, who is in second, not wanting to play with Yuri. And I mean, Yuri, is he just going to go 3? I mean, it's 7-handed now, right? Jacks, pretty strong hand versus the next biggest stack. You could see a flat, you could see a 3, but he does go for flat, elects to call. So that will at least slow things down for the moment and could prevent a really big pot, actually, as played with the queen high. So both players, kind of a funny one too, right? Both players not in love with the flop. The queen jack.
Right.
That is one of the more, when you have ace king and you're out of position, you raise and it comes queen high. It is one of the more it just feels wrong, right? You just know, like, ace high, king high, you can get some good value. You're in a good spot. When you flop here, you start thinking about what hands are you really beating on this in this situation. Is not a ton. And that card actually is a very welcome sight for Yuri, who could maybe go kind of big here, right? He could kind of value bet like large, get any other pair to call. He got to feel he has the best hand almost for sure.
Yeah. Yep, he does go pretty big here with the 2/3 size.
And one of these tough spots too for Doberman, because you're just kind of like, just feels like, yeah, he's got all these pairs, but also does he ever just bluff, decided bet ace jack suited or some other hands that maybe ace suited wheels or some other spots. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think of the call in the river? I think it's pretty close, but it does feel like you're going to lose more often than not with that situation.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting better than 2-1, right? So you need to be right, what, 27% of the time or so? I could see it going either way.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Yuri is, I don't think I've seen a 7-handed with this type of lead. I don't think, and honestly, he feels like the kind of guy that can execute, because there's been a few times where I see like a huge stack versus the shorter ones, and they try to play aggressive or a couple missteps, and it doesn't really work out. But we might actually get to see a spot where he pushes people and just starts really taking advantage of those stacks too on his left, right? There's a bunch of short stacks where he can just start really ripping and putting people in a lot of pressure. So let's see. And Nicholas here at King 8 suited, going to go ahead and take an aggressive maneuver against Space, who, again, sort of like too high up in the range to decide to pass. But you do look around and you see a couple shorter stacks. This is a tough one. Tough spot. I think maybe just too good, right? Ace queen versus.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Space, especially cutoff versus small blind. I think we're going to see Space just stick it in here.
Yeah, he's just weighing it out. All right, if it's a real hand, do I really want to flip? If I get against ace king, it's a mess. Do I get folds a lot? How often is Nicholas just messing around? And it is a case of messing around. So he would actually be getting a pretty large pickup to just shove and get no call. I mean, maybe he's considering calling, although ace queen off doesn't feel like one of the ones that plays Fantastic.
He does just call.
And opens the door for Nicholas to take the pot, but also for Nicholas a little bit, here we go. Like, it's one thing to 3-bet. Now you got to play poker. You get flatted, and here you get a 6-4-3 flop, and he is going to come out firing. And very interesting hand all of a sudden, or space. So you start thinking about the bluff hands, like king, queen off, something like that. Or if he did have like ace-4, ace-3 suited, ace-5 suited, that now has kind of connected with that board. So he does get just go for the call and check one. I think one of the function of why it's a problem, that's why I think that particular hand in general, just sort of maybe make a stand, decide if you want to go with it or not. But, I get it. I get the flat as well. What would you have preferred? Or do you
I would have been all in pre-flop. I think what Space was thinking here is that there are 2 stacks shorter than him, and one is very short, right? One has 11 big blinds, just over 11 big blinds. And he's looking at these pay jumps, which are pretty linear, right? And he's saying, well, if I can just hang around here and go from 7th place to 6th place, for example, once this 11 big blind stack gets all in, that's worth, $22,000. So I think that's what was going through his head there. But nonetheless, I would have liked to see the shove pre-flop. And look at this situation. We got pocket aces opening, ace jack offsuit flatting the button, and a 3-bet from king jack of clubs back over to the aces.
Yeah, king jack suited, one of those kind of solver world ones that just feel like can go nuts and get aggressive, and does take a stand. And Victor, the absolute dream spot on his stack, and now he's just thinking what to do. Maybe to click it, flatting. Does he want to flat? Probably not. So I like it. He clicks, and that is now one of the worst feelings, right? You go for a squeeze, you have a pretty hand, and now it's like, man, am I really getting baited in here? Am I against aces? Do I have to just cut and release? Do I parlay my plan, and do I call and then get in a weird one? But it's not fun for Doberman. It does fold.
I mean, that's one where you're really just asking, does your opponent have a bluff that way? Obviously he's put in half of his chips pre-flop. So what hand is he really doing that with, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is a fast call. King 10, the taxi cab shot, Houston, Texas. King 10, Queen 5, and 10 and a queen have arrived on the board. Is it really just that type of day for Yuri going to the river here? Queen 5, King 10, got 5 outs, and that is not going to come. Samuel will be out, and Yuri is a runaway train right now, an absolute crazy stack situation. He has got 3x second, more than 3x second with what, 6 left. So pretty abnormal situation in the moment, and he's going for it. He is just officially saying this is time. 10-5 off. Like, it is a full-on steamroll in process.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this dinner, Jeff. Where are you taking me?
Well, we didn't clarify, what class of dinners we're going, if there's drinks, dessert, but
I feel like it's at least a steakhouse or an omakase. I feel like that's can only be appropriate, right? With this runaway victory, if it does end up with Yuri. Right now, does he have more than half the chips in play? Not quite.
It's just
not quite. He's almost there.
Yeah, it's like 9 million to 8 million roughly. Yeah. So pretty special situation. But again, a lot of poker left. Things can change, and these players aren't afraid, which actually makes it fun in the sense that it can go quicker. I think there is a little bit of a disregard for ICM, and some of the greatest players. Of course, they're aware of it. Of course, they want to make the right plays. But there's something to be said about being a millions. GGMillions champion. So I think there's always people looking for the trophy as well. And here we get a big hand, but no participants here. A little unlucky for Sting, who's been pretty quiet. Gets kings on the button. And Yeah, some very interesting hands today. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. And this is actually this is a spot where space is going to open and looks like it'll just go defend from Yuri. So this is the Windsor I like to call the 7-5 suited right here. This is a hand I used to love to play in Windsor, Canada. And even back at Caesars Windsor, it was like a very famous hand. Gonna miss here, but that could have been Ace King suited. The 7-5 suited definitely could have been problematic for Ace King suited, but this is pretty clean flop. Don't think there'll be much attacking from Yuri, especially with that size. And the pickup is 1.2 million. So space, yeah, hanging in there. Sting, space on the shorter side. Nicholas and Victor and Doberman are all kind of tied roughly. Very similar second place stack. And Yuri with 8 million, King 10 off against Nicholas's open. Real spinning, goes for it. Don't want to say personal, but these two have battled. I mean, there's been some attacking going on here, and again, two of the more decorated players in the game. So again, very familiar with each other. And Yuri, man, I don't want to like jinx him. Don't want to whatever. He's got like the perfect final table going right now. This has been just chalk smooth for him. 8.2, 6-3 off. I mean, I guess he's just at this point, he's like, I'm going for a record. I mean, I might as well.
Anything on the button, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with so many short stacks behind you, and especially with space in the big blind, both he and Sting are trying to outlast the other player. So you can really kind of take some more liberties as the big stack when that's the case, when there's so much ICM implications. And of course, he got 3 stacks, all very similar in just above the 2 million range. And those guys are also waiting for these shorter stacks to bust here. So Yuri just really, really in the driver's seat here with his big stack right now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty decent flop. A little scary though. Ace Queen versus that board. There's a lot going on there. Sting does hit a pair. Gets a decent price to be continuing, although tough spot. Not really
tough spot with no back doors. With no back doors there,
Yeah. Yeah, it's asking a lot to continue. Could see some checkbacks from Victor too with the Ace Queen there. Just wanted to get to showdown, but he does bet, take it down. And Yuri, I mean, this is actually, yeah, I don't think I've seen this before. This is the first time I've seen this big of a lead this quickly. And just I mean, I'd love to see. I don't know if he's lost a pot actually. I don't believe he has. Maybe one check like to fold right out of the big blind 7-5 suitor, but pretty much everything else has gone well. And here we go, mystery hand. It's time. It is a king queen on the button for Nicholas, and that will be the hand can. Let's see, with the raise in front off a million stack.
And so it looks like about 18.5 big blinds effective. Nicholas is just calling.
A little deeper, maybe 3-bet, or do you think even still would that be a consideration to 3-bet now, or just see where you're at, kind of make them decide to 4-bet jam or fold, or you're good?
I like the call. I like the call. The problem is when you get 4-bet jammed on, you're gonna be behind, and when you just flat here, you're gonna keep in hands that are worse than yours.
Does invite Yuri to come along as well as we go 3-way to a flop on the Queen A5 rainbow board, and Yuri goes out, and now space thinking what to do. Call Jack, kind of a connecting card, sort of in the range of hands that would be interested on what's happening here. There's 4-card rainbow right now. 5-8 queen jack, likely space will check, and then Nicholas. What do you do here? Stack the pocket and close to 1.
Yeah, I'd probably check this back here with there being no flush draw on the flop. It's just going to be difficult for space to continue with too many hands that are worse than yours. Doubt you're going to get 3 streets of value. So I like the check back pot control on the turn. And now space betting 30% pot. Wow, with top set of queens. That wouldn't have been my guess, Jeff.
Yeah, the sizing too, so affordable, so attractive. I mean, he's blocking the value there, so I guess he's just trying to get called by something that maybe they would hero him, but he happened to have top pair. Second nut kicker, and very nice hand from space. Pretty yeah. Then you can't put him on that, right? With the
yeah, my guess was going to be ace queen, but yeah, top set of queens. He checked it on the flop, played it well. Very small continuation size by Yuri here. A 1/8 pot.
Yeah, it goes small, and king queen going to stick on. Has the best non-pair hand, ace 9-9, and the 4 of spades. Let's see if Yuri maybe just having fun at this point. He's like, man, I just haven't lost a pot. Can I just really keep going for it, or does show a little bit of pump the brakes to Victor, who has the best hand currently? Does check, and now king high, even looking a little more attractive. Queen high though too. Could think he has the best hand, right? There's some hands that the opponent certainly could call with a flush draw, just not want to put a lot of chips in the pot, but likely just going to go. I was going to say likely go check, but king high actually pretty confident can be good here and maybe get called by worse. You actually, having the queen though, you block one of the more likely other hands that would call that are worse. So he does go for the bet. Does that seem pretty standard for you? And king high there.
I could honestly see it going either way. It is a nice value bet, and he does take it down. So an important thing to note, when it gets checked to you on the river and you're closing the action in a heads up pot, you generally don't want to go with a small bet sizing. Anything, you really want the smallest bet sizing you have to be 50% pot, because if you start betting 20% pot, 25% pot, then all you're doing is you're reopening the action for your opponent to check raise there. And you just don't get enough marginal benefit from getting that very small quarter pot value bet off versus your opponent having the opportunity to re-raise you. So in spots like that on the river, you really need to ask, is my hand worth an approximately 50% pot value bet? In that case, it did look like he went about 40-50% pot, and he did get paid by worse. So a good value bet there.
Yeah, and then Victor all of a sudden 3 million in second place, separate himself from just a few moments ago. We saw Doberman and Nicholas and him really about 2.3 million apiece. So he's had a good few moments here, as he also has a nice seat on the left of Yuri, who's going to be opening so wide, so he can maybe capitalize on some light 3-bets or flats with better hands. And he does have a very decent situation. Sting now your shortest stack by far, and Yuri just going to go ahead and keep going to work here, right at 8 million chips. And 5-8 suited. I mean, what is it? Just like, yeah, I guess he just gets to really go wide here, and yeah, he's having a good time. Yeah, we want to thank everyone at home watching. Let us know where you're watching from. Several giveaways to take part in, including the hands up, which you can click on the YouTube, which is a progressive jackpot where you get to guess the exact hand and suit winning hand today. So that is available. We also have a one-year automatically in. It's going to be $50 or $100 with respect to who wins. If it's Kane's players or mine, that'll be automatic. And believe I thought I don't know if I did get it up or not because I think see there's are we doing another there is a tweet as well. Jeff Gross Poker pin tweet. Kane, you're eligible for that as well. If you do win that, I will double down. It's a $50 giveaway that is up on my Jeff Gross Poker Twitter. I'm gonna get the link for you guys too. And hands up, are we doing a mystery hand right now again? Is this what's happening? Yeah, queens.
I think we're in a mystery hand here.
Tell me. Ooh.
Pocket queens, big blind defense, paired board. I would have expected to see a c-bet there from queen. So a hand that, I mean, having a heart makes it a little better to check back. A hand that I might definitely want to check back on this board is a hand like aces. The problem with queens is that a king or an ace could roll off, allowing your opponent to catch up. So I would tend to continuation bet a hand like pocket queens on this board, but maybe check back a hand like aces. And he checks back the turn again. So we're not going to have a lot of, so far we don't have a lot of information on what the big blind could have here, Jeff. It's just been checked down to the river. And then we got a 2/3 pot bet. Pocket queens now finally going for value on the river. Yeah. And before we see the big blind's river action here, we really have no information as to what he could have. But now it starts to become interesting. Now, what does he have here? So let's start with what bluffs it may make sense to do this with. If you defended a hand like 4-5 suited in the big blinds, you might think that that hand isn't good on the river and is also blocking. You know, you have the fake full house, right? You're blocking your opponent's ability to have a full house, even though that's unlikely with him checking back 2 streets. We did just see somebody check top set in a spot, so his opponent definitely could have checked back jacks full of 5s if he opened 5s in this spot. So I do think a hand like 4-5 would be one of the best bluffs. Another hand that would be a good bluff is a hand like Queen 10, because oh my goodness, we get a call and he does just have the ace jack. He just has the ace jack. Wow.
Crazy hand. I mean, crazy hand. Really, really crazy. And Sting is very happy about that. And Victor getting the full value there. And Nicholas, again, just, I guess, a lot of history knows capable. That's a compliment to Victor, too, right? Knowing that he just can't have bluffs there. And Nicholas decided to look him up. But we are down to 5 very quickly. And that was a wild hand.
Yeah, so we were talking about, you might want to bluff with a hand like, a counterfeit 2-pair type hand, like 8-5, maybe 4-5, 4-8. But the hands with an 8 actually could call that river with the 2-pair. So I think specifically 4-5. But then what other bluffs do you want to have? Maybe a hand like Queen 10, because you're blocking some of your opponent's jacks that he opens pre-flop, like 10 jack offsuit and Queen jack offsuit. Right? I don't know. If you're in the big blind in that spot, Jeff, where are you drawing your bluffs from on that river?
Yeah, the 4-5 makes a lot of sense. I just, the question is he going to go for it? Do you just go for it for that in that spot in this moment? Do you just really rip it in and just have a bluff there? And again, Nicholas decides, yes, he says that he has enough. He's capable, he's willing, he's able. And he's thought that, like, hey, this is the spot where I could definitely just have, he just has a random bluff. So very, very interesting hand. Very, very, very interesting. Credit to Victor to recognize and go for the jugular and get paid. And yeah, very cool hand. Definitely a worthy mystery hand. There was a big pot and fun and puts us down to 5 fairly quickly. Again, we're less than an hour in and we have lost fair amount of players, and we have some other short stacks and shaping up for a Yuri and Victor heads up, although a lot of play left.
Yeah, the other thing to consider with that hand is in Victor's spot. I mean, are you leading either the turn or the river with your trip jacks there, right? Because he chose to just check it all the way down, hoping that his opponent would either value bet or bluff on that 4 river. It makes sense, because if what are the hands that your opponent is going to check back on the river, but otherwise would call a bet. I mean, really, the candidate is ace high, right? So if you were going to bet that river in Victor's spot, you might be thinking, well, my opponent has an ace high type hand that he might call a bet with. It's a little bit ambitious. So I do like the way that he just slow played it all the way down to the river. And then went all in, also giving himself the ability to do that with the bluff hands that we were talking about, a hand like a queen 10 or a 4-5.
Really, really, really interesting. And here, king 9, ace jack. So both players sort of are feeling okay about the situation. Now, Victor, when he sees a check back on the flop, maybe it does sort of scream sort of jack X, right? Some kind of value that wants showdown. Maybe you would draw bets with your just random bluffs, and then with your very strong hands, you would be betting as well. So I guess Victor sort of recognizing where he's at and the heart on the river. Both players do have a heart, and it is a decision for Victor now. Does he want to bet? Does he want to check call? Probably betting still with the lead in the hand, I would guess. See how much. Maybe not a huge bet. Small, goes small.
Very small. 1/10 pot, just this blocker size. Yeah, and he just gets snapped there, and I think that was very well played by Victor. You know, when you have a hand like that, that definitely has value, but not a ton of value when you're out of position on the river. You know, a lot of times you do want to go for that blocker bet type size that he went for. Anywhere from 1/10 is on the small size, but anywhere from 1/10 to 1/4 pot would be considered a blocker size bet on the river there, and I think that was very well played.
I mean, queen king off, not messing around, is just going to rip it in. Takes it down. Of course, space slightly ahead, actually a little more than slightly ahead of Sting. So not just going to flick in any 2 call there by any means. And here we go, 9 7s and a pretty big cooler here for Sting, who in this spot sees how wide Yuri's open. He's going to be pretty happy to fist pump shove, and Yuri's going to snap him off and be a 4-1 favorite to put us down to 4-handed relatively quickly. I would imagine that's how it's got to go. What else can you do there? Really does see it. He's going to be shocked to just see again. Yuri has the goods. He's light every hand, but he happens to have 9s when he has 7s, and there it is.
Oh,
it was going a little too smooth. Everything was just kind of going a little too right, and Sting gonna get a bailout, at least for the moment. He's gonna get to win that pot and get himself back in the game. Now space on the short stack, and Yuri just a little blemish on his day so far, but hey, you know, things change fast. It does matter, right? That would put him at what, 8 million. Instead, he is down to whatever, 6-8, still very healthy. Blinds have just gone up to 35K, 70K. So everyone getting a little shorter big blind wise. Space under 13, about 13 blinds. And Yuri now still sitting about 100 bigs. Jack 10 off, 7-9 off. Let's check back. Thought about raising. Yuri got a club, nothing really much else, and he's got a pair now, Jack 10 versus 7-9. So we see Mr. Doberman go ahead for a delayed C-bet, delayed bet after limping in, and Yuri does catch up to a pair, although now it is pretty quick work there. Check, check. Small pot. Doberman take it down. And I'm going to queue up at oh wow, we're getting a lot of mystery hands, some fun ones today. Ace King with Jacks, Ace King, all the special ones here. Sting with the newfound chips. Going to go ahead and open, I'm sure. Let's see who we get to play with on this hand. Victor just feels dangerous right now too, right after that really cheeky hand where he got the triple check, shove all in, get called. Ace King monotone here, 118 to 1 odds to flop a flush. Ace King though, still got to feel pretty good about this one. Ace Queen 4, 3 hearts. What do you like here bet wise?
yeah, we generally see the small bet size here on the monotone type boards. We're looking at like a quarter pot bet normally is what the solvers like to do. And we see about a fifth pot size from Sting, which I think is completely fine. And I actually like it on this particular monotone board because if your opponent doesn't have an ace or a queen, right, they're just going to have a lot of auto folds. But look at this. We get the raise. We get the raise right away. And now facing a super tiny raise here, you know, Sting can't go anywhere in my opinion. It's basically a raise of 30% pot or so, 35% pot from the big blind. The problem is going to be if he continues to fire, obviously with no heart in your hand and Sting situation, it's just very, very dicey, right? But facing that check raise on the flop, you should have hands that are happy to call the flop and then are fine to fold on future streets. I think this one qualifies, and I think I'd let this one go here on the turn. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, you hate it. You just hate it. You know you're getting taken advantage of sometimes, but you just you got to basically wow.
Whoa!
Wow.
Whoa!
Rip it in the 5-2 of
Oh my goodness!
100% to 0, and he does.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably like folding, or you just I guess calling and then deciding on some rivers. Maybe there's merit to it, but yeah, he does step into the 0% trap. We're down to 4, and it's Victor and Yuri. Victor somehow has the chip lead, although it seems like Yuri never lost the pot, but they are about tied here, roughly 6.6, 7.1, and at home.
You have Victor? Is Victor your guy?
Yeah, so I have Doberman and Victor, and you had Yuri. I think you have Yuri in space.
Oh wow! All of a sudden, I'm a dog.
Wow, and I mean, this is aces to king 10, flops a gut shot and some backdoor, picks a king there, has outs, needs some paint, and it is not. It is not paint. It is GG.
So there were 3.
There were 3, and we got to cue a giveaway. We got giveaways going on here. Let me see. Keyword. I gotta do a keyword thing. We're behind here. Let's go. We're gonna do for a $50 or $100. You gotta hit the thumbs up. That's step 1. If you're enjoying the show, hope you are. Appreciate everyone watching that does do that. And then the keyword is gonna be GGPoker space Kane, and then space your GGPoker username. And if you don't have one, you can give one to a friend, right? Maybe you have a friend that is in a jurisdiction that can play. I am putting that here in the chat. And again, my pinned Twitter is eligible for $50. You got 3 giveaway options today, guys. 3 giveaways, and we are down to 3 right away. This has been very quick. That is the keyword GGPoker space Kane space your GGPoker username or a friend's, as we are rehanded. And I mean, this is 1 hour into the show. This is on pace for a record, but then again, you never know. It could be an epic heads up or 3-way. They're deep. It's just hard to say. There is no deal making available on the GG Millions. That is one of the caveats. That's just how it goes. Tweet is up. $50 cash. Jeff Post Poker Twitter. It is there. Kane, you're eligible as well. Good luck. If you win it, I'll double down. Dinner's on the line. Stuff on the line.
Oh man, I thought I was a lock. I thought I was a lock for this omakase. You know what we decided? It's going to be a diner. Some diner food, maybe a breakfast, some pancakes.
It's a winner's choice. Winner's choice. Depends where you want to go. How you
oh goodness.
Yeah, you got.
You're out in Tokyo. I could burn you out there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're welcome. You're welcome to come out. We're in. We have talked about that for some dinners. That does make things more interesting on like a fly. Have to fly to Puerto Rico or Miami or wherever to fly, and that does add to the tab. But as of now, it's just winner's choice dinner, and we are seeing some high level stuff. 3-handed going fast here. Thank you for joining us. GG Million season 2023 episode 25. Kane Callis. You can add them on the socials across the board, Twitter, Instagram, all the good stuff. And we are in a dogfight here between Yuri and Victor and Doberman. Been pretty feeling fortunate, right? They hadn't had to do a lot of dirty work, kind of in third place. Still plenty of chips and guaranteed a nice payout. Hoping for more. All right, well, 4-liner all of a sudden. 7 or a queen is a straight. Flush is available as well. Yuri thinking what to do here, and Victor with the ace-3 off. Does he want to bluff? Doesn't really beat anything. Got 8 million chips. 600 in the middle. Does wave the flag. Yuri will pick that up. So again, 8 million, 7 million, 2.5 million. Sort of two big gap, but like plenty of chips for Doberman to still be active. And this is actually, though, a pretty tough spot. 3-handed ace-9 button versus Yuri, who's capable, willing, and able, and going to get met with the 3-bet right away.
We're about 35 big blinds deep. Wow, he does just let it go very quickly. And something interesting to point out for Doberman in this spot, even though he is the shortest stack here, really not too many ICM implications here, because the other two stacks are so much bigger than him that at this point Doberman's just going to pretty much play for chips. At this point, the ICM is really between it's Yuri and Victor, who don't want to get in some all-in big pot at this point, even though that's pretty unlikely, because they both want to outlast Doberman. And so at this point, the players are playing more for chip value rather than ICM. And even though Doberman's a short stack here, the ICM really goes away, because at this point, it's just very, very unlikely he's going to somehow outlast one of these two big stacks. And so we get to see more kind of just regular chip EV play at this point in the tournament.
Yeah, ace king come out swinging. What do you think about limping here versus raising with this hand? Just maybe thinking that Yuri's not going to be playing, like, coming after him. I just I'm a little curious.
I would generally limp the ace king there.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, he's got such a gap, right? He's almost 3x short of the next. Can get a little cheeky, a little creative, try to mix stuff up, try to get back into it. And his risk premium is so low because he is just so far down. It's not a big deal if he were to get knocked out, right? He's not. It would be like you mentioned. It would be a mess if the two chip leaders here, they got it in a flip or something. Would be not the right strategy. So
we see the raise here with the 3-5 suited. A lot of suited hands don't want to raise in the big blind versus small blind limp, because the issue is if you get re-raised, you really you don't get and you have to fold your hand. You don't want to do that when you have the potential to flop a flush draw, backdoor flush draw. 3-5 though is weak enough that I like the big blind raise, and I don't mind putting that into a raise category and then folding when you get re-raised there. But he does just take it down.
King 5 suited, we do see a limp in, then call the raise. Does outflop ace king, and he is certainly going to hang on for one, and that is quite the card. Just in case wasn't convinced he had the best hand. Now he's got to feel over the moon about his situation. Doesn't have any spade in his hand as well, and just kind of
Doberman's playing interesting here, double barreling the ace king. I mean, ace king is going to be good here a decent bit of the time. So for that reason, Jeff, I would probably check back the turn and potentially, bluff catch some rivers, right? Your opponent could easily have a hand like 7-9 suited, 7-8 suited, 8-9 suited. I'm surprised to see this double barrel out of ace king. What do you think?
Very surprised, but I mean, if you look at the other perspective about hands that he is beating, he is beating a fair amount of hands. But I would prefer probably your way, where I'd say, yeah, I'd probably check back and then check the side, call some rivers, and he's just going to go for it here. And now the interesting part is with the raise, it's almost like you're thinking, man, what does my opponent have? And that maybe I am actually beating some hands there, some draws, but it's just a bizarre hand. I think it's again, Doberman has a lot of results. He's been here a lot. He's very accomplished, and yeah, a bit unconventional, I think, on that hand, and he got punished for it, as we see. I believe Mr. Doberman has, let's see if he's won before. So he's made 4 final tables in season 2. In season 3, 2 final tables, no wins, but very, very. Victor Malinowski has 3 final tables, 1 win season 1. He had 18 final tables in season 2, which is insane with 2
Wow.
wins. And in season 3, I believe he had 2 final tables. Yeah.
Well, I would say so far at this final table, I'm most impressed by Victor's play. Probably with Yuri right behind that, although we haven't seen Yuri in quite as many spots as Victor. So I would say that those two, and it makes sense. They have almost all the chips.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Yuri's only won 1 time, surprisingly, in the GG Millions was season 1. So 7 final tables, 1 win. Season 2, he had 6 final tables, no wins, and so far in 2023, he has 4 final tables with no wins this year. So again, it's hard to win, right? I mean, it is. It's hard to win tournaments. It's very, 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 very hard to close out, and there's a lot of luck as well towards the stretch here. And even between him and Victor, they're pretty much in a two-horse race at the moment. Can't say it's over for Doberman, but these, even so, right, to win, you gotta beat some tough competition, and they're pretty even here. King arrives, puts Yuri in the lead. Not much in the middle. Whoa, little flip flop from flop turn river. Victor with the trips, certainly going to be raising with the action here. Gotta imagine the size does kick it up, and Yuri kind of thinking, all right, well, I chop with some things. I beat some bluffs. 7x, I lose. He does have the 7x, and a little bit of an extension here. 9 million to 6.5, and Ace King again for Doberman, who is gonna welcome the raise. Just gonna shove, and Yuri Jack 10 suit. Fun hand to play, not to call off with. You need to play any GG World Series of Poker bracelets? I know 33 bracelets on the line, the main event coming up, or you got your eyes on any of that?
No, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to play too many of those. How about you?
I have not, and I'm in Japan. The time zone's really tough. I've thought about it, but I think I might be able to get to Brazil. I think I'm going to try to play the main and maybe a couple events. I think I'll get to, but it's been a while.
What's the main? What's the main buy-in and guarantee?
It's a 5K, and the guarantee. That's a good question. I'd have to look specifically. Maybe someone in the audience could help us with that. I could maybe do a quick search. I forget. I had looked at it, but I don't want to. Let's see if we can get a confirmation on that. I know it's pretty healthy. Let's see. I'm gonna have to check. Maybe someone, I don't have the chat up at the moment, but I'm looking. I'll find that. I think is it? I was thinking 20 million. I think it might be more than that. I'm pretty sure. That's just like that. I think it is more than that. Definitely, I believe it's definitely. I would bet it's well over 20 million, but it's a 5K. I know that main event, and man, aces again for Victor. Wow. It's nice 3-handed aces, queen 10 suited, playable hands. Get the chat out here. Do you have the YouTube chat up? I'm actually on my laptop. It's a little harder for me to do all this.
I don't. Let me see.
I'm gonna pull it up though. Maybe someone can tell me in the chat. 800 watching. Appreciate you. There it is. GGPoker space Kane space username on GG. 25 mil. Thank you, S. Adabeezy. That sounds right. That does sound right. 25 million. I think I'll go well over, but nice to win a bracelet. 25 mil guaranteed from home. You know.
Oh yeah.
Two, 3, 6, 5, 6. Pretty good flop there. Yuri 7-10 off. Not going to be interested.
Is Bahamas in your future?
Yes, that is in my backyard, and that's pretty cool to see that back. Nostalgia of the Atlantis, which sort of lost for a while. I'd say it's luster, right? It was sort of the PCA's kind of like long time it was there, but then Bahamar has been getting a crack at stuff, and I think Atlantis has made some nice changes and updates, and I think it'll be cool to have a Caribbean World Series of Poker could win bracelets. So yeah, it should be very, very cool. Yeah, I think that. What about you?
I think I'll just be doing the win. I mean, if you're going, you know, how am I going to win bracelets if you're winning them all? You know what I mean?
I do feel with the Super Millions, Super Million, GGMillion commentary, I do feel dangerous. I gotta say, if I can make it to a final table, I've got a lot of final tables under my belt.
Right.
So that's the only part of the puzzle, but it's definitely cool to watch the best sort of maneuver and jiggle and drop and pots and find ways to be creative and sizings and everything. So it is fun to do, as we are in another very, very interesting. Everyone's always different. This final table's been quick. See if it'll keep that way. And ace 9, queen 10 here. Yuri, good big check raise.
Pretty large raise, yeah.
Would you say Doberman's playing unconventional? I mean, man, has he had ace king like 4 times 3-handed? It's like in the big blind. It's crazy.
I would say he's playing very unconventionally. Yeah, there's been a number of hands that he's played differently than I would expect. You know, I mean, that last hand, that check raise was just very, very large there. I thought with ace 9, not too sure why he would need to go for that large of a size. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not that much bigger than I guess I would check raise to, but it's just in general, you know, I think we've seen Doberman play a number of hands that are a little bit out of the box. Seeing him raise ace king, small blind versus big blind in a spot where I would have limped, for example, was another one that comes to mind. And then there was a post flop spot. I forget the exact spot that Doberman definitely played interestingly.
You did the ace king where he bet.
Oh, right, where he double barreled the ace king on the 5, 6, 10 flush draw 5 offsuit board. See how he plays his up and down straight draw here. Just a call, and he turns the nuts.
Could work out well for him, but Victor just seems to always know where he's at, right? He just slows down instantly and gives up on the hand. As you see the chess clock, 5 minutes of pop for Victor and Yuri. Doberman playing a little faster as 10 minutes. So we haven't seen this in a while. There have been a few scenarios where we've seen one or even both players not have any time left at the end, which gets very interesting. Makes you have to like 5 seconds to act, as we get a mystery hand. Yuri limps. King Queen imagines going to be raising here. 320 or so. 280, okay. But you play this one king, as we will, I guess we're going to be seeing a call, right? Or something, because it's a mystery hand. There's action. King, queen, 6, top 2.
Oh, wow.
What a board.
Oh, wow.
Sizing, like bigger, smaller. What's he going? 390, goes a little smaller. I mean, wet board. Very a lot going on here, but he does have such a strong hand.
Yeah, I think I would go a little smaller here with this hand as opposed to a hand like ace king, right? Because you're blocking your opponent's ability to have both top pair and second pair when you have top 2.
Jack, so straights come in. Jack, run out. Interesting. Checks back the jack. I mean, I wouldn't say that's like insane, but that does seem a little bit interesting. Check back.
Yeah, I don't mind it. But here we have a bet of what, 2/3 pot, and I'm going to say that Yuri has king 10 offsuit here with this line.
the running Jack is interesting though, because there are draws Jack 10.
That's true.
But he is just absolutely.
Wow, nines. Oh. I'm surprised by this whole hand. I'm surprised we saw a fold from King Queen. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's just so polarizing. I guess from Yuri's perspective and what Victor also like he perceives Victor goes for those big bets with the value, right? He saw him tax Nicholas Asta, and he just I don't know. I'm a little surprised to check to bet the flop, check back turn, and then just fold river. I think I'm more of from the school of when I do show deception on my hand or when I do pot control. I think I'm generally weighted more towards calling in these spots where I'm like kind of like as the plan goes that you just kind of have to maybe close your eyes and call a little bit more. But
well, it would have been one thing if the board was rainbow, right? But there were 2 hearts
yeah.
on the flop. So I don't understand the King Queen fold at all. And I think what Yuri just had 9-7 offsuit, right? Which was an interesting flop peel. He didn't have a flush draw. I think he had the 9 of hearts, 7 of diamonds or something.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So he was just peeling, I guess, with a backdoor hearts and some potential backdoor straights that could come in on the flop. So very well played by Yuri there to get a fold out of a hand as strong as King Queen.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
in order for Victor to make that fold, he has to be thinking that Yuri, oh wow, look at this. Oh my goodness. Disaster for Doberman here. Because Doberman has the queen and the 4. He makes the call.
wow.
And Doberman is going to be eliminated in 3rd place. And all of a sudden, it's heads up. My guy against your guy.
Wow. Just like that. 266, 339, what they're playing for. Doberman, nice score, 208. Can't be upset. Look at the money sprawled out. New graphic designs. We got 7s, 9 dudes suited. We got ourselves a match here. This is a fun one and a quick one today. This has been.
Yeah. Now, did you personally count all that cash? Did you make sure that's the 340,000?
It looks close. I don't know what they got. That might just be a dead default graphic. I don't. GG has the best software, best everything. So maybe they do actually tailor it to the payout. But that does look like a stock graphic. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's that was just fast. Let's see here, very fast today. Who do you pick now? I mean, obviously I guess you just stick with your guy, but you got Yuri. But
sticking with my guy, especially after that 9-7 bluff. How sick was that? Getting your guy to fold top 2.
Yeah, this is. I mean, when the best meet the best, something has to give. People are making extraordinary plays in spots. I am surprised, but again, that's the one thing. The bias, the commentator bias, right? You get to see the cards. It's sort of like whatever. That's why I love these mystery hands because it's fun to not be. To kind of have to make a guess or decision when you don't actually see the other cards. It does make a difference. Do you notice that? You've done commentary over the years. Like how do you kind of deal with the commentary bias? Because it is hard when you see the cards to not, it's easier to be right? Or it's easier to make eloquent decisions when you see the person's cards.
Sure. No, that's true. I mean, from my perspective, it's just I'm trying to look at all the hands I could possibly have in that situation, right? Rather than just a hand that's directly in front of me. And I'm sure that's part of what Victor was thinking is a lot of the hands that he checks back on the turn are hands like 10 Jack, Jack 9, Ace Jack. And so he could easily have trips. It's just such a small bucket of hands facing now it would be one thing if Yuri had 2x overbet shove the river, right? Now all of a sudden, okay, you're isolated. But in my opinion, that King Queen there, I mean, it's possible that Yuri could have been value betting top pair. It's possibly could have been value betting a king, and had kings and jacks with a queen kicker. So, with the flush draw missing, I was surprised to see a fold there by King Queen. But other than that, I've been very impressed with how Victor has played.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, these guys are just. It just feels right that they literally are tied after all
Yeah.
this. They're like, it's literally mano y mano, very, very, very close here, but essentially even in two good hands, ace five suited, king jack off.
Yeah, this is going to be a big pot here.
Yeah, Yuri is debating what to do, if he wants to kick it up or call. He does kick it up, and ace five.
Wow. This is weird. I'm taking a flop here with the king jack, and this could be whoa, and a fold from ace five suited. That's one of the hands you might want to consider going with there. But I will take it since Yuri's my guy. And we were talking earlier about how if you're a tournament player, you might have a little bit less experience heads up. I mean, for me, as somebody who's played a lot of heads up in my career, that king jack offsuit, calling a 3-bet there is just kind of a dream spot, in my opinion. You're in position. Your opponent is sometimes 3-betting hands like king 5 suited, king 7 suited, maybe even a jack 6 suited, right? All those hands make it into slivers of the 3-bet percentage, and so you're going to be dominating your opponent's hand a decent bit. There, in my opinion, there's no reason to 4-bet bluff in that spot with king jack, and then if you get 5-bet shoved on, your opponent's going to 5-bet shove with pocket tens, and now you don't get to realize your equity with king jack or pocket nines, against a hand that you're basically flipping against. So for those reasons, I would have just taken a flop. But you know what? In Yuri, it worked out better for him than it did for me, right? Because he denied equity from ace 5 of clubs.
Yeah, and here too, he goes for a small bet on the turn on such a wet board with the 7. He has the straight, and now the river gets a pretty good river, no diamond, no club, and now let's see, does he go kick it up? I mean, ace 9. This is pretty close in the middle of calling it out. Does get out of the way. Nice fold. 7 million. Yuri now the lead is up to 10, so slight advantage. It is 40-80. Going to pick the winner here very shortly for the giveaway. Again, if you type in the chat, it is GGPoker space Kane space your GGPoker username. We will draw that winner for it. It'll be 50 or 100. So the audience is actually they're with me. They're rooting for Victor for 100. If the winner today, it'll be 50 if Yuri wins, and then the tweet is eligible. That is still up on Jeff Gross Poker on Twitter. You can retweet and enter that. That's for 50 in cash. And guess the winning hand. What was yours? I said 9-10 of spades. You said ace something off. Was it ace 6 or
ace of clubs, 6 of diamonds?
Okay, so that's also at home. If you're sweating that, the hands up, you have a chance at that progressive jackpot. So that is a something. We got multiple giveaways here on the GG Millions Weekly. Makes it fun. Multiple ways to enter, and again, picking the exact hand combination not easy, but hey, someone's going to do it. It'll feel good, right? When you get the right suits. It's tough when you get the wrong suit. I don't know the math, but it's going to be hard to get the winning exact suit in hand. But it's not every hand combination. There's some unrealistic hand combinations. So I don't know. How many people? I guess that's a tough one to say. I don't think anyone's hit it yet. It's been 40 weeks.
It's tough, yeah, to get the exact combination.
Jack 7 going speeding here. Ace 3 though picks up a wheel draw, likely not going to fold. Does have some potential to win. Also just beats a lot of hands. Checks back.
So is Victor going to fire a final barrel here? I mean, part of what he might be thinking when he's barreling is I got a jack, which blocks some of my opponent's ability to have a queen in his hand, right? But this is actually not true in heads up, because in heads up ranges are so wide, your opponent would defend all these queens out of the big blind anyway, right? So if you're at a 6 max table and the big blind defends, now the jack actually helps you block some of the queen defends. But in heads up, it doesn't really matter as much. But he does find the final barrel, and yeah, there's no way Yuri's going to be able to make the call there. That jack 7 is one of the weakest hands he's going to show up with on the river, so I do like the river barrel. But just something a little bit interesting there is when you're looking at, generally on those paired boards, right, the jack 4 board, that some of the best hands to bluff with are cards that wrap around that jack. because it's blocking your opponent's ability to play those type of queen jack or jack 10 type hands. But in heads up poker, all that kind of goes out the window because ranges are so wide anyway.
That's a good point. Good point. Deuce 4, Yuri, worst hand you can have here, literally the nut low. Deuce 4, Jack 7 does have a pair, and fun to watch. Two guys that, again, the heads up, you got to imagine. Yuri also, I think, was the runner-up in the 50K Players Championship to Jungle Man the year prior, and just plays a lot of games and a lot of games well. Definitely knows how to play every format, every situation, heads up, and Victor plays a lot of cash, so I think I would guess both these players are pretty competent at heads up. They probably played a fair amount and know what they're doing. So not a lot to give here. This is sort of going to come down to who gets a favorable situation. We did see King Jack Ace 5 suited. That could have even gone, could have been a bigger pop. But as of now, these guys are deep, and this is I believe a record. It's close to it. We're an hour and a half into the show, and we are heads up. So pretty deep stack though, Kane. We might get to see a bit of play here for a while. You never know. Doesn't take much.
What we've seen so far from Victor is he's been pretty reluctant to call big bets against Yuri, and I wonder if Victor thinks that Yuri is just under bluffing in certain spots. So it'll be interesting to see if that really continues, or if Victor is going to be, now that it's heads up, more willing to kind of, you know, be the table sheriff and call Yuri down a little bit wider, because if anything, we've probably seen Yuri over bluff at this final table rather than under bluff. Certainly, you know, that King Queen versus 9-7 hand is one that stands out in that regard. Here, both players with garbage. We're going to see if, yeah, Yuri is just going to let go the 6-deuce offsuit, which I think is prudent.
Pretty interesting to see on the fanned out sides here the results. Both players almost spot on. You got 13 million in earnings for both players on GG. You also see their rankings. Pretty impressive. Number 3 for 2022 in the season for Victor, and number 51 currently versus number 47 and number 12. So two players that have been very active in the GG Millions and had some of the more impressive results. So nice look there at what they're doing, and they're playing for, I guess, yeah, the title. The title's important, right? This is like was mentioned, it's been Yuri hasn't won since season 1. I know he would like to get another one, and Victor has won numerous, including 2 titles last season. So a lot to play for. As we see top pair versus middle set. That is interesting. And Victor thinking about what to do here. Goes for the bet. Pretty much the nuts. I mean, as played, I mean, set and heads up is so huge anyway. There is a few possible straights, but not really consideration, as there was, I believe, what check flop. I think any of those type of hands will be betting. So he knows he got the best hand. Quick call from Yuri. Hard to make a pair and hold him, and hard to make a pair as he did have top pair on the flop. That could have been a bigger pot. Played differently.
Yeah.
Definitely could have been bigger. Both players.
These players are back to just about even stacks here. It's Jack 6 facing a 2.5x raise. Pretty close here in the big blind. Jack 6 off.
Fun's coming up here, and maybe
interesting that Victor chose to check back the flop, but bet half pot here on the turn. You'd think that if he's trying to show down his hand, he might choose to check back the turn as well. But he does put out a half pot bet, and it's an easy call for Yuri on the turn. Picks one up.
6-7, king 3. Nice suited hand. Always nice to have a king suited. I know you. I wouldn't bet against you on that. You know the computer hand. Heads up. That's level 1. We all learned that, right, back in the day. You know that one.
Queen 7 offsuit. Yeah.
There you go. So king 3 suited on the button definitely feels good as a starter. Although 6-7, going to pick up a gut shot and just go ahead and blast it through, take it down. This one is too close to call. I mean, this is as good a dinner sweat as you can have. Two powerhouse players, heads up, about the same stack, deep stacked, and a lot to play for. Lot to play for right now as we are in a battle here to see a winner. Both players.
Were these the first and second overall picks? I know that I picked Yuri first.
No, I think Victor had like 1.5 million. I took Doberman and Nicholas Ostat. They both had 3 million chips. So Victor was sort of middle lower in the pack. But one of the more experienced. Was definitely happy to see that name as we are going to go to a flop. And hello.
And being out there in Tokyo, did you get a chance to watch the first week of NFL?
I saw some. I'm actually a big Lions fan. Grew up in Michigan, Ann Arbor, so I had a pretty cool start to the season. Got off to a kick. It seems like some big action going on. I mean, the game yesterday, I did follow along with the Jets. That was Aaron Rodgers going down was crazy, and then they came back in the walk-off and the whole thing. I mean, it's
an amazing game, but Rodgers out for the season, probably with an Achilles.
Yeah, pretty insane start to that. That's really crazy. But here we followed.
Yeah, here we got trips here versus second pair of kings and 3s with an ace high kicker. Yeah, I wonder, Jets were featured in Hard Knocks this year, and Rodgers got a lot of screen time there. I wonder if the Jets will pick up another quarterback or just stick with Wilson as their starter. Yeah, that's a bummer, man. What I mean, he moved over from Green. That really is crazy. 4th play of the game in a season, like that's just yeah. I mean, the fact that they won too is pretty wild. Like they came back, you would think they would be basically dead to that team, right? That game would be over, but I mean, something like that could only happen to the Jets, right? It is. They get a Hall of Fame quarterback. He goes down the 4th play of the season. I don't know. I'd like to see him at this point. I don't know if Zach Wilson can do it, man. And if they're going for it this year, they might want to pick up like a Carson Wentz or something. Yeah. No, there's definitely decisions to make. It's fun. NFL is fun, man. It really feels like it's gotten more and more fun every year. I actually don't follow it super super-close, but I still keep an eye on. Like I'm definitely seeing the scores, and I'm alert to what's going on. But your Lions are in there, man. Yeah, they were like the 5th most bet team to win the Super Bowl or something, or up there. Wow. They were. People are. They lost a lot of close games last year. That's the thing too. They won like 8 in a row, or 8 of 10 or something at the end. So yeah, they're looking all right. Who's your team? I'm an Eagles fan. Nice, it's a good one. Good to win some Super Bowls and be in the mix. So we got a pretty large bet here with second pair and Yuri slow playing the 2 pair. We're going to see a raise from him, and it's really going to put 9-5 in a tough spot. However, in heads up poker, he does just let it go. So we've seen this from Victor. Is he tends to, I don't want to call that an overfold, but he didn't really take too long to think about that. It seemed like it was a pretty easy fold, and in general, we're not watching Victor kind of play table sheriff against Yuri here. We see Victor making a lot of bluffs himself, but we see him kind of reluctant to be calling down his opponents. And interesting, the first limp I think we've seen heads up here is a 7-3 offsuit by Victor. I tell you what, I am following, and it's pretty insane, is the Messi mania, man. This thing is really like out of a storybook that comes in, the late free kick winner on his first game at home, and all the jazz from then on. They've been pretty, that's my sport. I love soccer. Grew up playing and played in college, and like live in Miami,
as main. So it's like it's it's front and center, and it's pretty crazy. Like they're really I don't know. It feels literally make believe, like how it's gone, and they just got such a strong team now. The thing is they were last, right? They're literally last place in the division. They just won like a major tournament. They're in the final of the U.S. tournament like in a few weeks. So Messi could literally come in like 2 months, have 2 trophies with the worst team in the league. So it's kind of crazy. As we see a king 8 considering calling here. Has a spade, has king high, bunch of stuff misses, and whoa, okay. The great players, what they do, they show you, they just, you're thinking about hero calling, they're just taking another level. Decide, let's make sure, and let's go ahead and kick it up as he gets aces and is getting bet into and more than a min raise. King 6 off. Victor just going to not make a mule of it, get out of the way, and a little separation now, almost 2-1 lead for Yuri as I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I was kind of not sure. Now it's sort of still deep though, plenty of play.
Did you have a particular soccer player you looked up to growing up and you kind of modeled your game after?
I love Francesco Totti. I always enjoyed to watch. That was one of my favorite players. Yeah, I think that was probably the one that I mean, obviously US didn't have like the greatest team always, but there are a couple good runs, and I know Landon Donovan was a pretty big star. Clint Dempsey too. I liked his game. But what about you? Followed a bit? You know some players?
Little bit, not too much. You played midfield?
Yeah, center mid. Yeah, played for South Carolina soccer. So that was like but that was it. Once I hit college, I was so into poker. I was like, I knew I wasn't going to play pro. I was just like, all right, this is I sort of shifted into poker by the time I was a freshman. I was already really, really more into poker. But
so you don't do the poker World Cup thing that they do during the series at those soccer matches, or you do?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. Aces are getting tossed off here. We actually won the first ever one. It was pretty cool. We had we beat Brazil in the final and scored with 2 seconds left to win the game. I hit an upper 90 shot to win. Actually, I got to give myself a little sick brag.
Wow, look at you. Is this a raise from 300 to 640 by your guy here?
Yeah, this is just a little sauce.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
Now he's got him in a tough spot here. King 7 suited, has a little bit of backdoor action, but I mean, not going to love the board, right? When you're King 7 suited here, and just curious if he is going to peel one off, though, probably for the size.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would fold. Look at that. Clubs coming in on the turn. So now, pocket aces, are you going to continue to bet or check here? And if you do bet, it's probably going to be a real small size, I would imagine, because your opponent's going to have a lot of floats on the flop. So when you're thinking about betting here, you're thinking about giving your opponent a price of indifference for most of his range to call or fold. It's actually even a little bit bigger than I would have expected. About a third size pot here. We get it. Oh man. Oh, Jeff, this could have gone a lot of ways, but that is not the one that I was hoping for, considering Yuri is my guy.
Yeah, this is definitely a good situation for Victor, although still not like the most. No, I don't want to say it's unsafe, but there are hands that beat you. The straight you're a little less worried about. You have aces, right? The ace 10 or like a 9-10, probably not necessarily a hand that would be in there and floating and playing around. So I guess he's either a jack or nothing. He thinks he's gonna have the best hand, and probably most of the time does. See what he does size wise. Checking doesn't feel right.
I'd imagine we'd see a little blocker size here, like a 1.1, 1.2. Wow, 3 million.
Whoa.
I mean, this is weird to me because now you're like Yuri wants to fold, right? Yeah, Yuri folds. Wow, that was a weird. So like, what did he want Yuri to call with there that doesn't have him beat?
That is a good question. That is an interesting question. King, and he actually had one of the perfect hands, right? The king. He actually hit the king.
Right. But he did have the clubs, which, but would he have called if he had a king with no club? I don't know. That's I think that was a little bit of a reach there by your boy Victor on the river with that size.
As it turns out, they're back to dead evens. It's anyone's game again. It was a little separation, 2-1 for Yuri. Pretty nice spot, and he did go floating with the king seven, picked up a very equitable turn, and then got top pair, but it wasn't enough. As we are going to see 8-9 has the eights and a pretty big advantage in this hand, as he's got the same draw.
But he's facing an overbet here on the turn, right? A 1.2x pot bet on the turn from Yuri. His opponent does call. And now is Yuri going to find this final barrel here? He has a pretty decent hand to do it, right? Because he doesn't have any hearts in his hand, which means that his opponent could have 2 hearts. That'll fold the river. He has a 9 blocking 5-9 and 9-10. He has a hand that's never good. Yep, he goes for a pot bet. Wow. This is a huge spot, and Victor lets it go. Yuri. It's dominating.
Yeah, tough spot. At the same token, you say that, I agree. He doesn't have a heart, which is good. His opponent fold the heart draws, but he beats some of those heart draws too, right? I mean, he's got the ace high.
He does. He did have ace high. I don't know how often his opponent's calling the overbet on the turn though, with just a bare heart draw, no pair. He certainly should be letting go his weaker heart draws, because Yuri could of course have a higher heart draw, in which case your equity is just totally shot.
Yeah. 6-7 here. Got one of the worst hands can have, and maybe Victor at some point. Maybe Victor start realizing. Victor, Yuri's definitely not just nut peddling by any means. He is taking shots and betting and getting creative with sizings, and I think Victor needs to maybe realize that a little bit, that there's been a little more spunk in Yuri's game than maybe give him credit for. But as it stands here, this is a tough spot. Yuri definitely could come out and raise here. He flats, and wow, both players gonna a little something here. Top pair, got the 9s, has the club, gonna come betting. And
yeah, I like the flat here pre-flop by Yuri. And heads up, you want to use these hands as 3-bet bluffs less.
So the clubs comes, and I mean, 9's going. It's pretty high up in the flush rankings here, with the ace, king, and jack out, and Yuri though just with no club. Let's go big.
Wow. Yuri makes the call.
Good, nice value bet there, size-wise, too healthy, and gets paid off by a non-club there. Non-believer, Yuri.
Non-club, non-queen.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Maybe on that board, Yuri's just gonna bluff catch there with a club or with a queen. But he reached down to the ace deuce, kind of, and it's probably the size that encouraged that, right? Because for the full pot size, I think Yuri was thinking, well, there's no difference in my hand's value whether I have a straight or whether I just have top pair. Both ways, my opponent either has a club or nothing. He's not going to choose that size with a straight. And so it may have been the large size by Victor that encouraged Yuri to make the call with ace deuce. So well played by Victor.
Yeah, so important, sizings and spots, and what you put your opponent on, and what they can put you on. So that was, again, a well constructed bet size that I think you're right. Maybe even did entice him to call versus maybe some other sizings he could even find the fold. So that very interesting. And we are back. This seems like, well, I mean, somehow, and heads up, we are back. We've been all over the map on leads here, but we are right back to about even as 4-7, 6-5. Going to go ahead and take a flop. Yeah, but no, the World Cup of Vegas, very fun. I mean, it is very fun. I gotta say, like, it's been a good mix. It's gone for, I mean, almost, I want to say like 10 years, 9 years of competition.
Wow.
It's been got a nice history to it now. So some very good players, actually, some really good teams, countries, and individuals. A lot of players.
You said in the end this year was U.S. versus Brazil, and U.S. won. Was Yuri in there for Brazil, or?
That was the first year. That was the first
Oh,
year. That was the
okay.
first ever one. This year, I'm not sure. I actually won. We had USA did not win this year. I think who won. I know like Austria, Germany's had a few good years in a row now. Brazil's usually tough. Like there's a lot of good teams. France. There's been a bunch of different winners.
How many total poker players show up for it?
I mean, it's 150 maybe or so. There's probably like
wow.
12, 14 teams, 16.
And
teams.
among those 150 players, where do you think you rank? Are you like in the top 25 or those players? Are you somewhere in the middle?
I mean, I'd like to. I would. I'd put myself pretty high up. I'd say. Maybe the top. I don't know
top
now.
10?
Like
top 5, 10.
Top. Yeah, probably. But now maybe not. Like maybe the first couple of years. But now it's like there's a lot of actually. There's some guys I think that played professionally even then like. They come in through Germany. Other guys that like play, they bring in some ringers, and there's some other guys that are really, really good. And I'm also 37, father of 2. I've declined over the last 5 years for sure, fitness and otherwise. But yeah, no, I mean, I played a lot. I like to play. I used to be, there's some good players. I'll say that. Byron Cameron's very good. Timothy Adams is great. And there's a lot of like really like guys that can really play, not just
right.
It's kind of.
And you guys are playing 5-a-side?
Yeah, 5-a-side with the goalie.
Oh. Well, you gotta get in the Olympics one of these years, my friend.
For what? For what's that?
That's what the event I run every year at the World Series, the Vegas Olympics. It's a $2,000 buy-in. You're drafted onto a 4-person team, and then we compete over 2 days in a bunch of different events: soccer, basketball, bowling, pool, ping pong, darts. Beach volleyball. It's so much fun. Badminton, tennis.
I don't know how I'm not aware of this. That sounds. When is it? When do you do it exactly?
I generally pick just like a string of 3 days where there aren't any high buy-in tournaments. So it'll normally be. I think this year it took place during like a 1,500 no limit and like a 1K PLO or something, and just try to. Put it during the lowest value tournaments of the series and do it then.
That's very cool. I don't know how I'm not aware of that. Who was? How many people did it, and who took it down?
So we've been doing. This year was the 11th year of the Vegas Olympics, and every year we get between 2 and 5 teams is most we've ever had. Normally it's 4 players per team. So some people who have shown up a lot. Aaron Mermelstein is there pretty much every year. Jesse Sylvia has done it a lot. Jake Schwartz was there. Jerry Wong has done it a couple times. So yeah, it's a ton of fun.
I will say the last few years, I have, like I said, I have a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old. So the last few World Series, I've not been there the whole time. I've been a little less active. I don't know how I haven't heard of this before. I put me down. I mean, I'd be in. I'd have to look at some of the games we're talking here, but it sounds all reasonable and fun anyway. So yeah, could.
Yeah, man. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it is all the teams are always pretty even because we go to dinner and we have a big draft. And if you're like the best player in all the events, then you're probably going to be paired up on a team with the worst player, right? So it's always kind of a team event, and it's always a lot of fun. Almost always comes down to the wire. And here we see Yuri making another river bluff here. He's been bluffing a lot, 2/3 pot, and he's been getting through a lot of the time. But I can't imagine we're going to see Victor fold a full house here. Is he going to give him credit for?
Wow!
Oh my goodness! Another bluff by Yuri. Unbelievable. For a 2/3 pot bet, gets Victor to fold a full house.
Wow. Wow. I mean, yeah, that is.
And you think Yuri? I mean, Yuri can't see Victor's cards, but do you think he's picking up just on frequencies, or maybe he's played with Victor in the past, and you think he's taking a couple of bluff spots that against other people he might not, because he knows that Victor is a little reticent to hero call?
Pretty wild. I don't know that one. That one, I just think, yeah, that one surprises me more than the others. That's a good. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what. Maybe just like, yeah, some notes, and Yuri just doesn't think. But like at the same token, if he's watching this final table on the side or something, at some point you're gonna see there's been plenty of moves, plenty of bluffs, plenty of light maneuvering. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
What is the delay here?
It's like 30 minute delay.
Yeah. So at this point, he's probably seen the king queen hand where Yuri had 9-7 anyway, and man, Yuri definitely getting away with some things here against Victor as he opens the ace-8 offsuit, and there is that computer hand reaching for chips for the 3-bet. And something interesting we've seen from Victor is a smaller 3-bet size. In that case, he just made it about 2.7x. So that was larger than he made it with the aces, but not by much. Flops second pair and checks over to Yuri.
Yuri wasting a little time. Ace-8, maybe thinking that he doesn't have a bet. I'm just ace-8 though, right in the middle here on like hands that could be ahead or not. So he's gonna bet once, get called.
Yeah, I do like the bet. I think what Yuri's thinking here is, first of all, he could turn a river and ace, which is probably good, right? But secondly, he has a lot of backdoors here, some backdoor straights he can turn, and also he could do what happened here, where he could turn the fake nut flush draw, right, and use that as kind of a combo to bluff off with. And here you go, like he just rivers the best hand here with a pair of aces. So I do like Yuri's hand selection here on a bluff on flop and turn. He, of course, does get lucky on the river. And we're almost certainly going to see an all-in here, right? What is... Okay, so he 3-bet check calls, and now he's going for what appears to be a 1/18th blocker bet on the river, just trying to get value, induce a shove. I don't know. I mean, we are going to see a shove here from Yuri facing this bet, I imagine.
Interesting, the chess clocks here too. Both players at about a minute, so that is something that we get some playing a little deeper stacked. Okay, and Yuri maybe decides to call.
Wow, Yuri does just call.
So big pot, and
so maybe Victor saved himself some chips with that river blocker bet, because I imagine Yuri would have gone for a larger size. Yuri just a little confused by the 1/17th pot bet there, as I would be as well.
Yeah, as it turns out, big river though, and Victor now has got his work cut out for him. Pretty big dog, 13.7 million, basically 14 to 3.5 million. So yeah, he is in a bit of trouble here. 8-6 off, picks up a club draw on the turn, 8 high, queen high. Club comes through. Yuri, when it's working, it's working. Brazil, man. Brazilians, the clubs, they love those green cards, and that is a flush. That is going to be a winner for Yuri at the moment. And we got to pick a winner here. I'm going to have to queue this up for the giveaway. It's going to be 50 or 100. It's looking like 50 at the moment if Yuri were to win, but hey, not over yet. Ace-8, ace-4. Actually, this is a start of a possible rally right here. Ace-4 off and ace-8. I mean, this is one of those ones where I guess, look, interesting enough, he still is limp folding there.
it seems like a pretty ambitious shove there with 8-5 suited to me, and big blind for 22 bigs. However, it definitely is a different game with the ante in there. However, the ante is small. It appears to be a 1/4 a big blind right now. Um, so something very interesting when you're playing online, Jeff, versus playing a live final table is if you're at a live final table, you get heads up, right? You're still playing big blind ante. So the ante is going to be one full big blind. So that really changes ranges, makes you want to play a lot more aggressively. Whereas with these two players playing online, the ante is, it's not a big blind ante, it's individual antes, and therefore the net ante here heads up is only 1/4 of a big blind rather than a full big blind. It'll change ranges dramatically, as we have an open and a small 3-bet from Yuri. Both of these players choosing to go with the smaller 3-bet size. I think Yuri mixing it with a larger size. And look at this, we got the overbet shove here from Yuri. We got bottom pair from Victor. Are we going to see him make the call?
Wow. I mean, the crazy thing is about this is we just had Robbie J. Lou on here. She was just a guest, and the Jack 4. Is there something here? Is Robbie just, people really just can't help it? They love it. I mean, why the Jack 4? And there it is, all in, and it is a needs to, is he gonna hold here, open-ended or a jack on the river? And that is a double up for our friend Victor. No dinner yet. Kane, the audience still alive for the 100 instead of 50 possibly as well. I do need to give the winner here. Let's see.
I like it how you got the audience aligned with your side. That's a nice little trick you got there. I got the whole world anti-sweating my guy now.
Yeah, it is. That is something I like to do. I'm a huge energy guy. I do like to stack the audience in my favor. But we've been through a lot. Ken, you're just a guest. I'm here every week, getting to do this with a lot of familiar faces and some new ones. We appreciate everyone watching. We're having fun. Giveaways are in order, and we have got the hands up. Also, that was the Jack 4. If someone had that would have been a chance for the hands up to win. Maybe a popular choice nowadays. The Jack 4 is a winning hand. We're going to see Ace 5 going to make the call as Queen 3. Winner. 2-1 lead just about again. Shout out to Blake. Vodge is in the chat. Wow, we got some legends in the chat today. A lot of interesting, a lot of viewers, a lot of no limit crushers out there, a lot of people that know how to play the game. And Ace 3 suited to force. He is going to rip it in. Yuri takes it down. Victor hanging on there.
Bit of a large shove there with pocket 4s, especially if Yuri thinks that he has an edge in this heads-up match.
What is this guy? I'm trying to pick the winner. Why is I'm like on my phone doing the giveaway here because I'm mobile. It's nice. You got your desktop? You're in your main setup there? Are you at your spot? You've lived there for a while? Is that right?
Yeah. We've been in this house for a couple of years, and we see Yuri continue to bet here, but his opponent with the 7 of spades and a pair of 5s is not going anywhere. And now is Yuri gonna represent? Now he just checks it back. And all of a sudden, we got a game again. Up and down, these two players back pretty close to even stacks at this point. See the deuce 7 suited opening the button.
Deuce 7. Nice to have diamonds. Nice to have a suited hand and heads up as we are. There's Jack 4 suited this time. Chess clock is down low for Victor. I mean, this is, again, it went fast, but that's what we could expect. A little deeper play in the heads up with that happening and going so quickly. So there is a little more play here as the chess clock. We could see it run out. It keeps going here. 28 seconds left. Makes it a little tougher to play. Only 5 seconds per decision. Pair of fours, 10-5. See the limp. Talk to me about the limp. This is something that's sort of shifted. I've seen in the last bit of time on the stack depth to limp with heads up poker. What are you considering on limping on how deep you are with yourself or your opponent, and what when you start limping?
So that I think this might be the first limp we've seen from Yuri, and it's a hand I think makes a little more sense than the one hand we saw Victor limp. We saw Victor limp the 7-3 offsuit, a hand I probably would have just folded in the small blind, and now we see Victor limp, or I'm sorry, Yuri limp the 10-5 suited. And the reason why that hand makes sense to limp, in my opinion, is because if you open 10-5 suited and your opponent does 3-bet, it's going to be difficult for you to continue. Whereas when you limp and your opponent raises, even if they choose a large ISO size there, or large raise size there, then you are going to be able to most of the time continue with the 10-5 suited, being deeper stacked up post flop. The difference with the way that Victor has been playing, though, is Victor has been 3-betting to a small size. So for that reason, I just wouldn't limp anything in Yuri's spot. I would just raise everything, or fold obviously some hands, and the 10-5 suited would make it into a bucket of hands that I can raise and actually comfortably call a 3-bet with, because Victor's really been 3-betting to just like anywhere from 2.3 to 2.7x, and that's just not a size where I'm going to feel like I need to fold my 10-5 of clubs, especially with an ante in the pot, right? It's different when there's not that ante. Again, we're talking about a pretty small ante here, but in general, heads up, you don't start to develop a limping strategy until you're pretty shallow stacked. We're talking about like 21, 22 big blinds or less. That's when you really start to see solvers and some of the best players develop a predominant button limping strategy.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's definitely seen some various thought processes on this amongst the players, and when they do it, and in what hand types they do it, and how to start in the match, at what point they do it, or if they just kind of waver back and forth. So very interesting to see, as we see again 25 seconds versus 50 seconds on the clock, and at the moment still plenty of play, so this definitely could get to zero, make things a little more interesting. But trips 9-6, king 7, checks backs, and open-ended now for Yuri, as 6-9 has trips. Gonna start betting. And king high, definitely possibly good, a lot.
Yeah, I played my second match in the 25K heads up no limit WSOP event this year was Kevin Rabachaw, and he obviously is a heads up specialist, and he and I were not limping until we got sub 20 big blinds, and then we played a predominant limp strategy on the button.
Yeah, it's that's definitely a tough opponent, but as you expect in a 25K heads up, a lot of tough opponents.
A lot of tough ones in there. Yeah, I did not have a particularly tough round one opponent, and then Kevin in round two is always going to be a tough one. That match was over pretty quickly. I just kind of had the best hands to bluff with, 5 hands in a row, and he was not looking to fold most of the time, so he just kind of bluff caught me 5 hands in a row. I'm short stack, and then we ended up getting all in flipping, and he won. But have you ever played? Did you play that tournament? Did you play in years past, or?
Yeah, I have. I think it was. I have the last couple. I haven't. The 10K. I came out only for the last 2 weeks, like the main event this year, so I didn't play this year. I don't think from COVID. I played it was 10K though prior, so I've had a couple good runs. I think I got like in the round of 5 to 8. I think that was my best showing there. But yeah, it's fun. That it's pure, right? It's just nice. That's a fun format. And how many they get for the 25K?
They cap at, they get 64.
It did hit the full cap. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a couple of people who got shut out who wanted to play, who didn't get in on time.
Yeah.
I think I saw Darren Elias wasn't able to get a seat who wanted to play.
Yeah, the last time I played that, I think I played Darren Elias, Vanessa Selps, Carrie Katz, and then so I beat them, and then I lost to the winner was Billy Brian Hastings. I think he won that year.
Okay, so you min cash then.
I think so. 5 round of 8. It might have been more people, like 128 one.
Yeah.
I think maybe.
Well, yeah, those are some interesting. You probably had 4 very different matches that year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, actually, I think 16 or 32 cashed. I think 16 for sure cashed, but yeah, that was fun. That was like there's a couple years where it was weird, where you would get like most people got a buy. There's like so many people
Right.
that just got register, and then it would be like 50 people or 40 people get a buy or something crazy. It was kind of odd. Or they give you half your money back. They give you like
Yeah.
5K back. Yeah.
I liked it when it was 10K. You know, it was definitely a softer tournament when it was 10K versus now it being a 25K. It's there's still a couple of soft spots in there, but you know, it's definitely pretty tough. I mean, even some very, very strong players, you know, but who just are very strong poker players but aren't heads up specialists, even they are not really entering it anymore where they used to, you know, some really tough tournament guys. And I think that's a little unfortunate, but
yeah.
I think they did that because they want to add some extra prestige. I mean, it is a heads up event, so perhaps they want it to be won more often by heads up specialists. But as somebody who plays it every year, I would love to see some of the players who don't have as much heads up experience get in there. You know what I mean?
I think they should make it a 15 or a 20 and do the 120, 128.
Yeah, make it a 15K. I like that idea. There's some speculation that Daniel was the one who wanted to bump it up there and make it a little easier bracelet to win. Potentially a little better for fantasy points, you know, with a smaller field. Do you ever do that fantasy, 25K fantasy?
I don't. I do not. My bandwidth is so low. I don't even do fantasy football anymore, which I love. I tell you what, once you have the kids and you kind of, the time is at it's a premium. I'm fighting to get podcasts done and do anything additional than just try not to be, try to do stuff with the kids as much as possible. But I love that stuff. I do. It's fun. It's just the last few years, it's been everything kind of not taking on additional things.
Yeah. And all of a sudden we got Yuri raising the pocket nines, checking back the flop, but Victor with a full house, deuces full of aces. He goes for the large 2/3 pot size on the turn. And Yuri calls, and now with a 3/4 pot on the river, Yuri quickly folds. I think that hand makes sense by both players. I mean, Yuri with a call on the turn with a pure bluff catcher. A lot of people may watch that hand and say, you know, if Yuri calls the turn, why doesn't he call the river? He's ahead of every hand on the turn that he's ahead of on the river. And the answer to that is you actually want to have part of your range should be calling the turn and folding the river, right? You know, that's just part of playing a balanced game. Is the reason why Yuri called the turn with pocket nines is because even though his decision's not going to change on the river, sometimes it's going to go check on the river, right? And Yuri should have some continues on the turn that also fold the river. Also, of course, with pocket nines, he does have 2 outs to just like the stone nuts, right? Whereas a hand like king high or even a second pair on that type of board, it's not going to be as disguised if he hits a very strong hand on the river. Whereas in that spot, you know, he can play for stacks if he hit a 9.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. Ton of sense, and it's a battle here. We see the jack on the river doesn't need it. Already had the best hand, but is going to have a winner if he can get to the shot. 3 seconds left on the clock. I mean, Victor is officially.
Does that ever refill?
No, this is it. So he's going to have some. He's going to be in a express checkout decision-making mode here. He is going to have not a lot of time once that does go. It does matter. It does make a slight difference. Yuri's also not far behind, but still has a little bit of maneuverability. Now you can see Victor sort of snap betting. Doesn't want to be wasting any of that extra valuable time if he ever were to need a little bit. And he has got a nice hand here. He's got the straight and a better flush draw. And Victor thinking
So we haven't seen this so far from Yuri. We've seen Yuri take his time on his decisions, but it's interesting now that Victor's so low on the chess clock. You might see Yuri start to at some point just insta-act, right? Just so that that Victor doesn't have time to think through his decision.
Right. I think that is a valid point that he could definitely, at least not unnecessarily, right? Yeah, sure, he'll take time when he needs, but he's gonna, if not, he's not gonna give him that extra benefit on.
Right. I mean, maybe certainly in spots where he's out of position on the flop, he might want to just insta-act, even if he would have some leads on that flop, just to kind of put the pressure on Victor. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. We are going to see an interesting dynamic here. That's for sure. It looks like we're going to have some play at this stack depth and this shot clock. This is again been abnormal, where it was going very quick, but now the heads up is taking a while as expected. And Jack 8 going to come in betting 6-4, hangs on, or gets scarier.
Yeah, we see the check from Yuri. The reason we're seeing Yuri slow down here has less to do with his hand and more to do with his opponent's line. When his opponent checks back the flop there and calls the turn, you know, there are a lot of ace highs in that range, and so Yuri didn't want to bluff into a hand that could have easily rivered a top pair river that's never ever folding. We see the half pot bet with a gut shot from Yuri. I imagine on this king turn we're going to see him continue to fire. It's a card that has no relevance to his opponent's flop calling range. And now the question is, we haven't seen Victor. Yeah, Victor hasn't liked to really bluff catch in these type of spots, even though that's a turn that Yuri's going to just bet very frequently because it's better for Yuri's range than it is for Victor's. And here we continue to see Victor limping with just kind of garbage hands on the button. And I wonder if Yuri, now raising with the Queen-9 offsuit, a hand he otherwise might normally check, I wonder if he's picking up on that. If he has a stream up on the side and he saw the 7-3 limp earlier from Victor, for example.
Meantime, King 8, couple decent starting hands, and a pretty big flop for both players. Hard to make a pair, no limit hold'em, and both made top pair, middle pair with reasonable kickers as the jack comes in. So now changes things a bit, but Yuri going to go ahead and keep betting, and Victor does call, and both players with a key heart here.
Interesting check back on the flop from Yuri. I imagine that's just a frequency thing, and we'd see him continuation bet this flop a decent bit.
Doesn't make a meal out of it. Victor folds 10.4 million. It's a 6.
Victor, that King 8 with the King of Hearts is a hand that he obviously doesn't have a lot of time on the clock, but I would have considered. I'm thinking that might be your best bluff shove there on the river, Jeff. He does have an 8 in his hand, blocking some sets. He has the King of Hearts, which is relevant for a lot of reasons. He's blocking King Queen, he's blocking flushes, and he's blocking a straight flush. The only hand that would be, yeah, I think that's his best bluff shove. I probably would have shoved that river. I mean, it's hard to go through all that with only 5 seconds left on the clock, because if you have a queen, you have a straight, right? So those hands are just calling. So I think that Victor right there actually did have his best. If he's ever going to be bluff shoving that river, right? I think that's the hand you want. Because if we think about his other heart combos, I think the King of Hearts is actually preferable to the Ace of Hearts there to bluff shove that river, just because it's blocking the straight flush and blocking the best possible straight. And it would have been really interesting because Yuri had a straight, right, and he had a heart.
Yeah, would have been that big ask on a fold. As we see, we are back to dead even on chips. Just Ace King and Ace Jack suited. I could have gotten more chips in there as well. So Victor actually fortunate to just call and go as played to a river, as he makes the stone cold nuts here, as Yuri has absolutely nothing if he wants to slow down or keep telling a story. But he is stepping into it, Kane. He is diving into the nuts with absolutely nothing. And is this just check call, close your eyes, and hope Yuri keeps falling through with no equity? And look at this river, the deuce on the river. King 10. Does Yuri slow down, or is this where it all goes? Are we going somewhere nice? We might be going to Sizzler, Kane. We might be going somewhere nice. This might be the unload. He might really go for it here. Come on, Yuri, just rip it. How could he have anything?
Oh my goodness!
Send it in. Send it in.
Oh man!
Send it in. Talk it through, Yuri. Actually, Yuri's been a guest on my podcast. Great guy. I love Brazilians in general. White Brazilian, but Yuri, I'm got dinner on the line, and I had to see it. Man, what a play! Victor in the end, 7 deuce. Is he going for it? He's going for the title, for a stamp with the 7-2 off. That's what he's doing. 6-9 suited. 7-2 off. Can it be? It is a 9. That is runner. That is needing a lot, and that is a double up. So 16-1, Kane. It's not over yet. I think we did say Michelin star dessert +3 guests each, somewhere nice coming up, but it's not over. So I don't want to say count it before it's over. King 7-9-5. Yuri, does he pass? Does he limp?
There's no limping this short. It's either going to be a shove or a fold, and it was a fold. Man, ugly.
He wouldn't limp his aces or kings there even. Just
no. I mean this short stacked. There's just
don't want to fold.
But this one's going to be an all in here for 3 big blinds.
King 3, Jack 7. Anyone at home that has King 3, you have a potential for a bonus, for a big thing. If we can fade the river,
9.
Oh no! Oh! The 3 across. There was a lot of good 3 across there at the end, and that is going to be a winner. There he is, Victor Malinowski. The guy can do it. Custom avatar, friend of GG. Great player, great guy, and what a showing! What a showing! Really well played, as you said. Played well today. Got to say congrats to him. Tip the cap. Any takeaways today, Kane? What do you think of the overall play?
I mean, it was great. We got to see some of the best players in the world battle it out here at this final table. I think it was a really interesting heads-up match. Definitely a really interesting big pot there where Yuri blasted off with the King 10. Probably a little bit influenced by the fact that it had been working against Victor so often, right? Victor had been over-folding to his aggression. I would say the one thing to take away is that a big part of the reason why he may have done that is there was that other hand where I believe the board was Queen 8-7-6, where Victor called a big bet on the flop, big bet on the turn with a combo draw, and then just quickly let go of the river when Yuri had ace-9. And Yuri was probably thinking that other hand was kind of a similar spot where his opponent would have a lot of combo draws there, a lot of pairs plus gut shots that he might let go of on the river. That time, though, Victor just happened to have the stone nuts, and well played by both players, and congratulations to Victor on taking it down.
Yeah, really, really fun final table. Big names, big prizes, as always, on the GG Millions. That was season 2023, episode 25. Again, Kane Callis joined us today. Appreciate that. You can follow him on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, all the good stuff. And Kane, I will be picking out a nice dinner. Appreciate that. That was fun. That was a good sweat, a genuinely good sweat. The audience at home, I already announced the winner will be $100, so not 50. That's pretty nice too. That was looking like 50 for a long time. If anyone had that winning hand, congrats on the hands up. And again, on Twitter, it's not too late. You can follow the instructions. $50 cash for you, your convenience to enter Jeff Gross Poker on the pin tweet. So appreciate that, Kane. Thank you so much. We'll be back GG Millions next week. And Kane, I'll be sending you a message for a future dinner tab. No worries. Appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
All right, it was a lot of fun. Thanks, Jeff.